Hey everybody, it's Todd with Sweet Tea Guitars. Thank you so much for stopping by the channel and welcome to my life. In the last video, we got the body shape finalized. I've got most of the outer perimeter sanded. This video is going to be all about the neck and the fretboard. We need to put our template on this neck blank, draw out that shape, make sure everything's nice and flat. We'll do some flatboard sanding on this thing, both sides. We'll cut it out on the bandsaw. We'll do the same thing to the fretboard and get it going. But before we get into that, the pickups for the giveaway build arrived this morning from Bill Taylor at Bill's Guitar Garage. Actually, these are from Sonoran Custom Wound Pickups. It's the same guy, different hat. So as you can see, I have yet to open this package. I thought we'd do this together. I've kept them in this package all day just so I could share them with you guys. So let's open this box up and see what Bill has sent. Bill's a great guy. He actually reached out to me and wanted to be involved in this build. He feels pretty much like I do. I want to give back to the community that I've gained so much from. He asked if I would be interested in doing a collaboration with him and let him build these pickups. And why would I not, you guys? I mean, a custom set of pickups for this guitar. So here's the spec sheet. Todd, here's the hybrid tele set for your guitar giveaway. As requested, this is a fairly high output set. Pickups were wound using 43 gauge heavy form var coated wire. Both are wax potted. The neck pickup is reverse wound, reverse polarity, so you will get hum canceling in the middle position. Bridge pickups, a traditional tele bridge shape. Resistance is 11.2K, Alnico 5 rod magnets. Neck pickup is a P90, resistance is 11.5K, also Alnico 5s. The tele bridge is very close to the bare knuckle pile driver pickup, just a little less output, but should definitely do what you want. Glad to be able to help you out with your project. Sincerely, Bill Taylor. Thank you, brother. This is really humbling and makes me so happy once again to be involved with all you guys in this community. So there you go. He's raised the two center poles. I think that is a killer addition to this set of pickups. A nice cloth covered wire. I can feel the wax on them. These are just phenomenal. So there you guys go. That's what's going in the bridge of this guitar. Let's take a look at this P90. There we go. He also sent me the mounting screws for these. Very, very cool. Thank you so much, Bill. Whoever winds up with this guitar, I will send that paperwork in the case with the build. So that really psychs me out and gets me even more on fire than I already am about this build. One more thing before we get moving on this neck. I've pretty much decided at this point that I think we're going to go with the rear cavity on this body. I really love this Kaya, and I don't want to have too much going up on the front of this thing. I almost believe that now would be as good a time as any to come up with a custom headstock shape for a 6 inline headstock that I plan on using here. So this is my original headstock design for a 3x3. I don't want all my guitars to have a 3x3 headstock, so I need to come up with a 6 inline design anyway. This is the Maximum Guitar Works Fit All 22 fret bolt-on 25.5 inch scale neck template. It's got the nut line marked. It's got all the tuners marked in the headstock, and it's got a little 1/8 inch hole here that you can put your center punch down through to mark out your tuners. We will also be using this one. This is a fit-all 22 fret fretboard template. Here's our neck blank. We're going to get this template attached to this thing and trace out this shape. I want to darken up this center line on this neck blank. I want to make absolutely certain that I am on the center line. Now these silver pencils are made for writing on metal. They're like welder's pencils is what they are. So there we go, I can see that way better. What we're going to do now is place this neck template on here, and I've still got my nut line drawn on the neck blank, and there's a center line scribed on this template. I'm going to make sure I keep this held down, and then we're going to, from the nut line only, I'm going to draw out the shape of this neck template on this blank here. So there's our neck shape, minus the headstock drawn on the neck blank. Now what I can do is sketch out a headstock design on this neck blank, and if I wind up saying, yes, that is absolutely the one I want to use for the Sweet Tea original headstock, I'll go back and use this as the template to cut that shape into that paddle headstock. I'm going to draw around on this for a minute, you guys, and I'll come right back and show you guys the results. I spent about 2 hours after I stopped filming trying to come up with some type of an original headstock design. Here's what I've come up with. And I don't know how well you guys are going to see that, but there it is. I think you can see it now. And I tried to make it not too pointy. I wanted to make sure that I did some kind of end treatment down here, so I've got that S shape in there. You know, I wanted to kind of make it elegant. So that's what we're going to go with. I'm going to try to get to within like 1 millimeter or 2 millimeters of this line, so when we go to run it across the router table, we're not having to remove so much material. I like to run a layer of this fine line vinyl on the outside of the neck blank, just to give myself, you know, this couple extra thousandths of thickness. This is 1/4 inch wide vinyl masking tape. It's 3M. This stuff is a little expensive, and you just want to make sure that you get it firmly fastened all the way around this neck. Now I'll show you guys what I'm doing. So that's what I'm talking about. You just wrap it around all the way around the outside of this edge. And you can use paper masking tape for this as well. The router bit bearing does not chew this vinyl up like it does paper. I'm going to take my 0.9 pencil and I'm going to go back around the perimeter of this neck template here, now that I've got that tape on there. All I need to do is crank up the bandsaw and cut this neck out, so let's do that. The way Steve makes these templates at Maximum Guitar Works, I have the ability to use these alignment pins right here. The one thing I'm a little concerned about is drilling these two right here so close to the end of that truss rod slot. I don't want to wind up blowing the side of the truss rod slot out or anything. So what I think I'm going to do, drill in these two front holes right here, and I think I'm going to make another hole right here in the center, but before I get to the nut, just to give me some kind of alignment that I can stick a piece of a toothpick down or something like that to make certain that I keep this accurate. All I'm going to do is put a piece of masking tape down through here, and we'll do the super glue and masking tape trick to attach this neck template to this blank, and I'll take it over to the drill press and drill these holes in through these drilling bushings. I've got my super glue out. I'm just going to put one line down the side of this, and I'm not going to use activator. That'll give me a couple of extra seconds to get this thing lined up. All right, there we go. So that's nice and sturdy. We'll move over here to the drill press and get these two holes drilled in here. We're in good shape. Okay, I only want to go as deep as I've got that tape marked. There we go. We need to drill ourselves an alignment point up on the headstock side of the neck. I want to make absolutely certain that I'm in the center line. I'm happy with that. So all I've done was drilled myself one little hole up on this end. I can insert a piece of this dowel rod, 2 on this side, 1 on this end, and I've got perfect alignment. Just like so. All right, we can pull our template off. Let's get the bandsaw set up and get this neck blank cut out here. So here we are at Old Trusty. I'm gonna stay well outside of this area of this line I've got drawn on this headstock so we can make absolutely certain that I have room left to refine that shape a little. That's going to be an absolutely killer looking neck. I mean, look at that Murado, you guys. That is just beautiful. I don't want to have to take a chance on hitting the truss rod adjustment nut with my router bit. So we're going to shape this neck, the perimeter shape. We're going to cut that on the router table before we glue the fretboard on, so we're not having to contend with the truss rod adjustment nut. So all we need to do is pop this neck template back on this blank, just like that. Now we're ready to route this neck. We're about to be able to see what this neck shape's going to look like, and I find that really exciting. All right, I want to make sure my blade is cutting the neck blank but not the template. I got a top and bottom bearing bit in the router. I'll start here and I'll cut this shape all the way around here. Then I'll flip it around this way. We'll cut it this way. I'll use the top bearing bit for this side. That is beautiful. I cannot wait to carve this thing. We're going to do the fretboard a little bit differently. Get this on the nut line. And I only cut the front of the nut. We will do that finish work once we get this glued to the blank. I'll cut the back side of the nut based on which nut I use. There we go. I've already traced out the shape around this, but I'm going to do it one more time just like we did the neck. Got our center line nice and lined up. I'm going to draw this out. Let's cut this thing out, you guys. I just want to make sure I keep myself plenty of distance behind that nut, so when we go to sand our swoop into the headstock, we can do that and not run into issues. I want to cut within about 2 millimeters. That's what our neck's going to look like. I think I'm going to get the spindle sander set up, finalize this headstock shape perimeter wise. I'm not going to do the thickness work on it yet. We won't do that until a later time. I need to widen this little area out right here with the chisel so my truss rod adjustment nut pops down in that slot. As you can see, this nut sticks up beyond the face of this neck. So we can either do it one of two ways. We can notch out the end of the fretboard so we have access to this nut, or I can cut a little hole through the fretboard and go around with some files and stuff and scallop it out like I did on the Requiem build. So I've marked it out. I'm just going to take my chisel and I want a nice flat side. That's the end of our neck at this point. I've got that slot widened out right there so our truss rod nut will drop down in there. Now what I want to do is take our little round file and just kind of contour that. We got the nut hanging out the end of the neck about 3 millimeters, which is exactly what I planned. We're a little bit below the surface on our truss rod. I think I'm going to take the neck blank over to the spindle sander and work on this, just the headstock end. I'll do this work on this end by hand, but I want to get this headstock shape cleaned up here. Be really careful that you don't sand down into your neck shape. Not only does it look weird, it can cause you issues when you go to set your nut in. So there's the Sweet Tea headstock, you guys. I hope everybody's all right with that. I like it. I like it a lot. It's not sharp and pointy. All right. We're attached. I'm going to do the same thing to the neck. All right, you guys, so I thought what might be a good idea at this point while this neck is still in its flat state, I'm going to lay my template back on here on the back side of the neck, and I'm going to clamp this thing down on here. We'll take our punch and mark out our tuners on the back side of the headstock. What that's going to allow us to do is all my thicknessing will occur from the front. So if I have any tear out or blowout on my tuner holes, that'll all get sanded away. All right, that feels good. So what I'll do now is get my center punch, double check everything. We're aligned, all is well. And there's our tuner holes marked out. I just thought it'd be a good idea to do this now while the neck's still flat. These are Kluson Revolution machine heads, and they are really nice. I mean, they're high quality tuners. As you can see, they're 19:1 gear ratio. They're a split point, or I guess a split post. We'll measure the shaft on here where this flange is at, and then we'll also measure one of these bushings to make sure the same size drill bit's going to take care of that. That bushing's slightly larger than the flange on the tuner itself, but if you look down inside those grooves, they're the same size. This is made to press fit into the front of the headstock. 9.75. That tells me a 10 millimeter will work for that side. These are 10.69, the bushings. So that'll give us a 0.5 millimeter bite into the wood. So we need to use a 10 millimeter drill bit. We'll check. I'm using these fish. These are made in Austria, and these are really good bits. Let's check the actual diameter of our drill bit. 9.92 on that one. Let's measure the diameter on this DeWalt bit that I use. 9.92. So we could use either one, literally. We're going to use the fish brad point. I'm going to start with this 3 millimeter. That will give the tip of this 10 millimeter a hole to ride down in, and I like using a pilot hole when I'm drilling out for tuners. So let's mount this bit up. This will make certain that if I need to adjust anything when we switch over to the 10, that I'll be able to. So there are our tuner holes pre-drilled. I'm actually going to super glue and masking tape this piece of board to the front of this neck blank, and that'll give us a more solid surface when we go to drill these 10mm holes. So like that, I'll use the big wide tape on this. All right, we'll give that just a minute to set up since I didn't use activator. I've gotten to a point to where I only use activator when I'm gluing the templates down. All right, you guys, I got one hole drilled. Let's get this second one going. I'm just letting the drill bit scratch, and then I'm verifying that I am where I want to be. All right, let's go for number 3. Looks good. There we go, you guys. I'm really impressed with that. You can look through the center of that right there and see those holes in there. Knowing that this is going to be a spoke wheel truss rod, even on a standard truss rod, I still like it hill adjust. I'll just drill a hole straight up in the end of the hill of the neck right there and route out the same slot that you would for a spoke wheel to give you room to get your wrench up in there. Not only do we need access for this nut in the body, which I have a template for that, but we also need to accommodate that slot in the fretboard. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to drop this truss rod down in the slot. We'll line the fretboard up on the center line. I'll clamp it down and we'll mark out how we need to do this on the back. I need to take some measurements. I need to find how far into the fretboard I need to come. I've got this template right here. This is the Maximum Guitar Works back tremolo cavity template for the fit-all system. It's got the truss rod slot for the body. You could use this for the neck as well. I'm going to use this to mark out our truss rod slot on this neck. I'm going to turn it around so I've actually got this radius right here in my fretboard. We'll line everything up to the center line. I want the end of that route right here. We want that line to line up with the end of that route. Now I'll just trace this out just for reference purposes. So there we go, there's our notch marked. All right, you guys, so let's super glue and masking tape this thing down. So I used 3/4 inch masking tape on either side of my center line to make sure I could keep this area in the center open so I'd be able to actually see my center line. And then I used 2-inch wide tape on the template. And we don't need much. I don't want to put too much because I don't want it to squeeze out and actually glue my fretboard down to the template. That's good. Okay, again, I'm not going to use any activator, just so I've got a little extra time. All right, we're good. That's the only part I'm cutting is right here. I'm going to go ahead and set the template down in here so I'm not having to do that while the bit's moving. We just want to go really slow. And just take little passes. So that's all we were doing. That is looking really good right there. All we're getting ready to do right now is drill in some some locator pins. And you want to double check everything every time. I like to use a toothpick. So I'm going to get these toothpicks here and I'll show you guys how I do this. We're going to drill down through the fret slot. So we're going to come down on this end and I'm going to drill a hole right down through the fret slot. I'm going to keep it kind of closer to the center just so we don't run into a problem when we're shaping the neck. I want to chamfer off these edges that are going to be sticking up above our fretboard. I like to stick the toothpicks down inside the fret slot. We'll take our little mallet, make sure those are bottomed out. You can hear it and feel it when that happens. They're done. We can pop our clamps off. We'll put just a little drop of super glue on the ends of these things, just a tiny drop. Then insert that in the hole. Tap it. Clean up around the edge. Same thing down here. All right, we're seated. All is well. I'll put a couple of dollops of silicone here and here down in the bottom of our truss rod slot. But I don't just use any silicone. Rhinezoplast. This is about probably the highest quality silicone you can get. It is German, and we won't use a tip because I don't need very much of this. This will serve as like a dampening material. So that's all I'm talking, you guys. Very little. We'll put that down in the slot. I do not want to leave any silicone above the surface. We'll take the 1/2 inch masking tape and just mask off our slots, all we're doing. I'm going to use Titebond, standard Titebond glue for this. So we want to just start right behind our nut line, and then we'll go down through here. Leave us a nice bead of glue. So all my clamps are ready. Okay, let's take our tape off. All right, I'm seated. I'll start at one end and work my way down from one end to the other. We'll alternate clamps to make sure I have nice, even, consistent pressure. Okay. Good. I got nice, even squeeze out all the way down on both sides. We're in good shape. That's going to be great. All right, you guys, so I wanted to talk for just a minute about why I like doing a fretboard glue up like this. It is my philosophy that the neck should stay in a flat state for as long as it can while you still have work left to do on it. That kind of leads us into what needs to happen in the next video. What we'll do in the next video, I'll pop this neck out of the clamps. We will flat sand this fretboard to make certain that we're starting with a dead flat surface. I'll probably use my flatboard sander here. Drill our threaded inserts into the back of the heel. We'll do that. We'll make sure everything fits in the neck pocket and everything. We'll get our holes drilled in the body and get this neck ready to be attached to the guitar. We'll thickness our headstock down. We'll draw out our transitions at the headstock area and the heel area on the back of the neck. We'll sand the swoop in. In the next video, we're going to get this neck pretty much to the point to where all it'll be left to do to this neck after the next video is do the final sanding on it, basically. We'll get everything else done to it pretty much. We'll get the fret dots drilled in. If we wind up doing fret dots, I may only mark the 12th fret and do side dots on it. We'll see. I hope you guys are really digging this guitar. I can't wait to give it away. I can't wait to get started on another build as well. I really appreciate you stopping by the channel and hanging out with me for a little while. Thank you so much for all the kind words you guys have to say on the comments. It makes me feel so good and so humble to read some of the things you guys say. And it makes the whole vibe of this really, really special to me. You know, so keep that up, you guys. Thank you again. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for subscribing. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, it is the only requirement to be entered into the drawing to win this guitar right here, because we will be giving this guitar away on May the 1st. A couple of videos from now, this guitar is going to start to look like a guitar. So I'm excited about it. You guys come on back, and until the next video, peace and love.